Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts about the 40K universe. I am your host Gershwan and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the Lamenters Spacemarine chapters. This is a part 2, so if you have not checked out part 1, please click on the link above. That's going to take you to part 1. If you have any suggestions for Space Marine chapters that you guys would like us to create a video for, please comment down below. What we're doing is we're tallying up all the different Space Marine chapters and putting out the videos for those corresponding chapters depending on the request. So please comment down below. Don't forget to put suggestion followed by whatever topic or whatever Space Marine chapter you want to hear about. So let's get into 40 facts about the Lamenters chapter. Lamenters are well known for fighting in the Corinth Crusade. At the outset of the Corinth Crusade, the Ultramarines called for allies to aid them in their holy task of destroying the mighty Orc empires of the Caradon region of the eastern fringe of the galaxy. The Lamenters answered the Ultramarines chapter master Marneus Calgar's call, mindful of the ancient debt they believed they owed the Ultramarines for their intervention many years before during the disastrous siege of Corellia. They dispatched a task force of 300 Astartes, along with the battle barge Daughter of Tempests and her escorts to serve in the Corinthian Crusade. The Lamenters persecuted the crusade tirelessly, driving back the Greenskin menace in a series of campaigns and separate battles throughout the sector. It was the liberation of the world of Slaughterhouse 3 that proved a decisive turning point for the chapter in the campaign. This Orc mining world had hundreds of thousands of human slaves funneled into its mines, never to return again. Moved by their plight, the Lamenters petitioned the Crusade Command for the task of attacking Slaughterhouse 3, which Calgar reluctantly agreed to, with the proviso that he could grant no further support for the Lamenters' mission. The Lamenters slipped through the Orcs' line and quickly obliterated their orbital defenses, and then quickly swept away any organized greenskin resistance in a remorseless assault. Seeing their brutal captors cast down, the prisoners rose up and joined the fray. In a few hours, the planet was in the Lamenters' hands. But their victory had unforeseen problems. They had liberated 3 million human prisoners, who now looked to their saviors to deliver them from the hands of their enemies, reluctant to leave the prisoners behind, and unable to transport them away from the planet. The Lamenters resolved to fight, and if need be, die nobly while any chance remained. Their tech marines, desperately trying to restore the captured Orc starships to operational flight status. The single battle barge and less than 200 surviving Lamenters stood against the nightmarish odds as a wave of Orc starships and phytobombers attacked, only to be beaten back by the Lamenters' savagery. Unprecedented number of Lamenters succumbed to the Black Rage in their bloody struggle. The freed slaves took it upon themselves to end the impasse. After a last prayer of thanks to the Emperor, they signaled the Lamenters' battle barge and requested a merciful death, knowing that at least they would die as free men and women, rather than pawns of the bestial greenskins. With another Orc fleet massing for the attack, the Lamenters had no choice and granted the former slaves the Emperor's peace by detonating a series of hundreds of seismic charges that had been honeycombed through the Slaughterhouse 3's mines, and collapsing the tunnels. The explosions laid Slaughterhouse 3 to waste within minutes, creating one of the largest planetary tombs in Imperial history. With fewer than 100 battle brothers left standing, the battered but unbowed Daughters of Tempests escaped the slaughterhouse system, trailing a handful of converted Orc slave transports, carrying with them less than a tenth of the liberated slaves. In operational terms, the liberation of the Orc mining world had been a resounding success. The destruction of the mines had set back the Orcs' buildup of war material by years, and caused conflicts amongst the various Orc clans, vying for the Sar system's mineral wealth. The Lamenters' success was only shadowed by the unfortunate losses incurred in the battle's aftermath, yet their victory tasted like bitter ashes to the Lamenters. When offered the honor of the Iron Halo in reward for their efforts from Marneus Calgar, the Lamenters took the almost unprecedented step of refusing this esteemed chapter honor. This caused some of their Imperial allies to accuse them of deliberately insulting the Crusade's commander, further breeding suspicion and dark rumor among those already ill-disposed toward the chapter. Prior to the liberation of Slaughterhouse 3, the Lamenters took part in a combined Space Marine force led by the Ultramarines under the command of Chapter Master Marnius Calgar, which consisted of the elements of the Angels of Absolution, Marine Erat, and the Silver Skulls. During a 7-year-long Imperial Crusade, the forces inflicted a series of major defeats on the Orc Empire of Cheredon, which delayed the invasion of the Imperium by the Wa Argluk for 30 standard years. During the final century of the 41st millennium, the Lamenters became involved in the Badab War as allies of the secessionist Astroclaws, Mantis Warriors, and Executioners. By the 908th year of the 41st millennium, the Lamenters had suffered significant losses through attrition. The continuous deployment defending the southern Badab sector, as well as serving as escort duty for the many secessionist supply convoys, had taken its toll on these fleet-based chapters. Yet they were still to be a force to be reckoned with, and so the Loyalists put a plan in action to isolate them and take them out one by one. The ferocious Minotaur chapter gathered its forces to strike where it would be most effective. Their opportunity finally came when the location of the Lamenters chapter barrack, Mater Lacrymrium, was discovered in orbit over the feral world of Optera, taking on supplies. The Minotaurs launched a lightning attack and succeeded in catching it and crippling its main drives, preventing it from fleeing. The Lamenters were forced to defend their chapter's barrack at all costs, as it contained both their recovering battle casualties as well as their precious resource of gene seed. With the continual attack on the barrack, the majority of the Lamenters' fleets were drawn back to the system. Once there, the Minotaurs laid bloody siege for 17 standard hours of brutal ship-to-ship fighting. Though the Minotaurs suffered heavy casualties, they eventually overpowered the Lamenters by virtue of their brutality and sheer weight of numbers. Their forces shattered, the few remaining Lamenters were forced to surrender rather than risk the annihilation of their precious barrack. The majority of their fleet was left ruined or drifting in the void. The Minotaurs claimed salvage rights to the crippled Lamenters' fleet, and the war gear of the fallen to replace their own serious losses. The surviving Lamenters were incarcerated on a prison hulk orbiting a night side of Saga II, amid rumors of their growing insanity and confinement. Only 311 Lamenters battle brothers survived to be interned on the prison hulk orbiting Sagan for the rest of the war. Less than 100 Lamenters were deployed elsewhere during the fight that still remained out in space. The chapter's severe losses effectively removed them from the secessionist order of battle. Not long after, inquisitorial missions were sent to the homeworlds of the Mantis Warriors and the Executioners, but no separate mission was dispatched to contact the Lamenters. Whatever findings the Inquisition uncovered from the Lamenters chapter barrack after the battle remained sealed, even from the knowledge of the inquisitorial reports made available to the Segmentum conclaves at that time. 1 year after the death of Badab Primaris and the end of the war, in the 913th year of the 41st millennium, the remaining secessionists from the Astroclaws, Executioners, Mantis Warriors, and the Lamenters chapter were put on trial before a special court of their peers of the Adeptus Astartes. The very existence of this chapter was at stake. Despite the attempts of the Inquisitor Legate to have the matter placed under full inquisitorial control, a conclave of 5 Space Marine chapter masters, whose forces were not part of the conflict, were convened in judgment in accordance with Astarte tradition. The court found that all of the chapters who had taken part in the Badab secession, guilty in breaking both the Codex Astarte and the ancient covenant with the Emperor that it represented. The Lamenters had not rebelled against the Imperium out of treachery or following a turn of chaos, but because of pride. They saw the attacks by the Inquisition on the Astroclaws as infringing upon the traditionary autonomy of the Maelstrom Wardens and the Adeptus Astartes. The Lamenters were eventually granted forgiveness for their actions by the High Lords of Terra, and were required, like their fellow secessionists, to undertake a 100-year-long penitent crusade to atone for their transgression, and would have to do so without the right to recruit neophytes to replace their losses during the time of punishment. Their future survival would therefore be left in their own hands and to the grace and benevolence of the Emperor. After the Lamenters participated in the Badab War, their chapter banner was a tattered remnant. When they were granted the Emperor's forgiveness, the banner was given to the Adeptus Sororitas to be repaired and purified. The sisters' handiwork was said to be inspired by the Emperor, and it is said that they wept as they wove, contemplating the Emperor's greatest sacrifice for humanity at the end of the Horus Heresy. The banner became an artifact known as the Banner of Tears, and was taken with the Lamenters on their subsequent crusade. Unfortunately, the Lamenters seemed to carry their bad luck with them, as their penitent crusade led them straight into the path of the Tyranids' High Fleet Kraken. Although they were instrumental in slowing the advance of this terrible alien menace, the Lamenters took devastating losses. In one particular notable battle, a number of Lamenters Spacemarines fought a heroic last stand on the planet of Malbolion, which was being rapidly consumed by the Tyranid organisms. The actions of the Lamenters allowed for many Imperial citizens to escape the doomed world, but they lost their lives in the process. As a result of the horrific losses suffered in their many battles with the Tyranids, barely 4 whole companies of the Lamenters still remain, while they are prevented from recruiting new neophytes because of their continual penance crusade. Whether the chapter will survive long enough to begin recruiting once more, or will have its banner and badge entered into the hallway of heroes in the Inner Imperial Palace on Terra, remains to be seen. And those were 40 facts about the Lamenters. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you play the Lamenters chapter, please comment down below and let me know. I don't think I've never seen any Lamenters players. If you are a Lamenters player, you're probably one of very few, which fits the lore perfectly. If you guys have any suggestions for other Space Marine chapters that you guys would like us to create a video for, don't forget to comment down below. Put suggestion followed by whatever Space Marine chapter you guys would like us to talk about. And again, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You guys have been doing it in every video, and it helps out the channel a lot, which allows us to give you guys awesome giveaways. The giveaway announcement video is going to come very soon in the next couple of days, so hold tight. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and like always, I'll see you guys tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.